times of Johnny Carson. Now, again, to that point, Chairman, I mean, administration in power was typically the subject of most of his jokes, as would seem to be the case now. I mean, these are comedians we're talking about. This is not the news.
Well, look, I can tell you, Jimmy Kimmel is no Johnny Carson.
By now, you almost certainly have heard the news about ABC capitulating to the Trump administration and catering to their hurt feelings with the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's late night show. While the brazen crackdown on free speech is the main issue at hand, we can't forget about what's going on behind the scenes.
In July, the Trump FCC, that's the entity that Brendan Carr controls, approved the sale of Paramount, with it, CBS, to Skydance Media, which is controlled by the family of pro-Trump tech billionaire named Larry Ellison. It was his son, actually, who's buying it. Now, that approval only came after Paramount paid Trump $16 million to settle the president's obvious, frivolous, ludicrous lawsuit against CBS News and 60 Minutes for editing interviews. And after the Ellisons agreed to eliminate DEI programs, and after they agreed to install an executive, formerly from a conservative think tank, to essentially act as a sort of ideological minder at CBS News for political bias. Last week, after Larry Ellison officially leapfrogged another pro-Trump billionaire, Elon Musk, to become the world's richest man, the new Paramount conglomerate made another media bid, this time for Warner Brothers Discovery, which just so happens to own CNN. There was news of a framework of a deal. Interesting. Let's see what the deal is. Gives Americans an 80% stake in TikTok. Which Americans? Well, you'll never guess. Yes, Larry Ellison is one of them, along with far-right venture capitalist, Trump donor, Doge consultant, MAGA backer, Mark Andreessen. As Talking Points memo noted, if all those deals all go through, that would mean the Murdoch family controlling Fox News, the Journal, New York Post, its other properties, Twitter, TikTok, CBS, CNN, and more owned by Elon Musk, and the Ellison family, the Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos.
It is so unsettling to see these Trump-aligned oligarchs racing to snatch up media corporations, because you're just lending yourself, or you're just creating a scenario where they're going to try to own every single media corporation, right, if possible. And then what is that going to turn into? Propaganda for the Trump administration. And the fact that we saw what happened with Jimmy Kimmel is really an attempt by the state to intimidate employers, corporations, to suppress speech, right? To silence people who say things that the administration does not like, that they take issue with. Again, it's a difference of opinion. However, it's being seen as this is a crime. And so now, because of the power that we have, we're going to intimidate people, intimidate corporations to do what we say. It's such a terrifying thing to see, all of this unfolding. Because what is going to come next? That's what happens every single day. There's something new that blows your mind in a negative manner.
We do know how the Trump FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, a hand-picked ally and friend of President Trump, has been harshly critical of Kimmel and also has been pressuring ABC on a number of fronts. Carr has been using the powers of the federal government agency in order to try to reshape the American media landscape. When I asked him for comment about ABC's decision, he didn't respond with any words, but he sent me a GIF. He sent me an image from the NBC sitcom The Office, where you see characters celebrating, dancing. Clearly, Carr was very happy to see this program suddenly sidelined.
When we, along with Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the rest of the progressive coalition, sounded the alarm about fighting oligarchy and keeping moneyed interests out of our political system, this is exactly what we were talking about. And then when you think about oligarchs like Mark Andreessen, Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg, Murdoch, etc., buying massive media operations, that is a direct threat to the First Amendment, because they bow down to what Donald Trump wants. They will make sure that the First Amendment is not going to be upheld, that it's not going to be prioritized, and that it's going to be seen as legitimate. Because again, their mission is to do what Donald Trump wants.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
And I was talking to Secretary Hegseth, and you know what he said? He said, you know what, Mr. Vice President? We don't see any of these drug boats coming into our country. They've completely stopped. And I said, I know why. I would stop too. Hell, I wouldn't go fishing right now in that area of the world.
In MAGA's worldview, it's totally acceptable to not even joke about killing homeless people, but just straight up say that they should be killed. In addition to joking about the extrajudicial killing, by the military no less, of foreign nationals accused of transporting drugs in international waters too.
What do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech, so maybe they'll have to go after you.
It is appropriate, President Trump, that a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone.
Well,
go ahead, John.
When the UAE does a deal like
you can set a nicer
tone. When the UAE does a deal, what does it want in return?
Quiet.
The state of free speech in America today is so terrifying because we're at a point in our society where if you say something that the Trump administration strongly disagrees with, they will find a way to get you reprimanded or get you fired. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, with all the pressure they're putting on these different companies and networks. And that is what really upsets me, but also scares me, because you have these oligarchs, people with a lot of money and power, lining up to serve the administration, and more specifically to serve Trump. So that is why it's very significant, it's very critical in this time period that we have an abundance of independent media free of special interests, where they're not going to be looking over their shoulder, speaking out against the government, and actually sharing what's happening in our society. Because the less independent media outlets that we have, the worse off we are when you look at what's going on and how the Trump administration is trying to bully all these networks into doing what he wants. Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.